You're listening to the official Minnesota Wild podcast, presented by Acrisure.
Here's Park, right side, Park, scored! Richard Park has scored in overtime, and the Wild will advance to game number 7.
Wow. Do you remember that? You certainly do.
Hey, but you know what? Because it's so special, being the 25th anniversary, the saving grace is that wasn't 25 years ago, so I don't feel that old.
You don't look that old either. Richard Parker, our guest up here right now, of course, he played a long time in the NHL for a number of different teams, but most notably that we remember, certainly with the Minnesota Wild. And I guess, Richard, the other night, and we were talking about this earlier, we had Jacques Lemaire, Mario Tremblay, and we had, just cast of characters also when you look at the Minnesota, not just the players, but the coaching staff as well.
It was unbelievable. I saw little highlights of them, and having not seen Jacques or Mario in a very long time, even Rammer for that matter. I've seen Reiser before, but they all look great. I was just so happy how when I saw them on TV, how good they looked. They were all smiling. They all had the tans, and it was nice seeing them. And first and foremost, to see them come back and have a chance to, for the fans and the community to kind of reacquaint and see them again, I think that's real special. And what that group of gentlemen meant to the franchise, I think just goes beyond words, because all the success that the Wild have had in the 25 years, I think a lot of it could really be credited to not only them, but Mr. Nagley, ownership, for really kind of laying a nice foundation, and it's I'm sure the current group does it as well, but I really felt that back then there was a really a real nice connection with the fan base, the communities, and it was a great time.
Yeah, Minnesota had gone 7 years without an NHL team. They left in 93 and came, of course, they left Minnesota to come right down here to Dallas, and of course the franchise came about with the first game in the year 2000. How would you describe Jacques Lemaire as a coach?
Well, a question I always get is, who's the best coach you've ever had? And my answer, it's an easy answer, and it's Jacques Lemaire, and then everybody else. And I whether a coach liked me or didn't like me, it really didn't come into that part of the equation. It was just the way Jacques handled. Well, first of all, his eye for the game was very unique, and it's something that you're never going to be able to teach on a whiteboard or in a boardroom. Just the way he saw the game, and little details here and there that you really don't notice, and that was one part of the equation. And then the other was, he just had a real unbelievable knack of doing and saying the right things at the right times, and eventually that turned to pushing the right buttons, and just really, I think, following his gut instincts. And those two things, he's an incredible human being, treated everyone with the utmost respect, and you could say that about all the people on that staff, and some of them are still here. You got Tony and being in the equipment, and it was a really, really good group to be a part of, that's for sure.
It was. It's interesting, too, because Jacques was saying the other day that he went into the lunchroom where the Wild have their meals and so on at Tria, and players have no idea who he is. He's 11 Stanley Cups, but it seems like the players today live in the moment. When his kids growing up, in my case too, we had trading cards of the players past. When you look at Rocco Richard, you look at all those players in the 50s and the early 60s and so on, and what it was like. But the players really kind of live for the moment today, which is fine.
Yeah.
But the game has changed so much over the years.
Yeah, it sure has. And part of that, this, Tom, it's just kind of, it's human nature, right? The evolution of life, kids, and they do act, look, and behave a little bit differently than maybe years past. And I'm sure your generation said that about our generation. So it does have a ripple effect. But I mean, what Jacques was able to accomplish in the game is there's not many that have come close to what he's done and accomplished throughout his career. So, in one breath, you're kind of disappointed that it doesn't, people don't resonate with players from that era as much as you or I would be able to or like. But his impact is sure felt,
And he and Mario work so well together, too. Of course, behind the bench, they're probably speaking French at different points, but you have no idea what they're talking about. But, usually it's not good.
Yeah, what's real funny about coaching is unless you've done it, and I was able to get behind their post-playing career, it's something I never realized anyways as a player is how important it is to have chemistry amongst the coaches and that staff. And if you don't have chemistry behind the bench, the players can feel that. And it's going to obviously affect the performance. But you're right. Those two, they drove together. They were like two peas in a pod. And, they did speak French. And it probably wasn't always complimentary. But they had a great thing going. And I would imagine they're still, they still keep in contact.
Yeah, they do. In fact, they're just great people to be around, I can tell you. Okay, you're a scout now. We played one period. You got 30 seconds. How would you analyze this game so far?
I'm a scout, not a coach. No, I think we had a really good start. Dallas, a good club at home. They've got some talented players that made plays and capitalized. But I think there's a lot of positives to take from there, from that period. Just maybe make sure we were a little harder with the puck here to begin, because I think towards the end we got a little bit careless and soft with that puck, especially in the D zone, and try and stay out of the box, because our power play looks like it's been going good.
And they've been done a good job of staying out of the box for the most part. But already Dallas has got one power play goal in this hockey game. But always a pleasure to see you. I'm sure we'll see you around. But thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me, Tom.
Richard Park, our guest here. Kevin, let's go back to you.
Park C for joining us in the intermission. Richard Park will get a gift certificate down to Tom Reed's Hockey City Pub. I bet his picture's on the wall there somewhere, somehow, at Tom Reed's Hockey City Pub. Go find it for yourself. You can do a little Where's Waldo at Tom Reed's Hockey City Pub. Wild are in Dallas, and they trail the Stars 2-0 after one. Full recap follows this break. You're listening to Wild Hockey, presented by Grand Casino.
Extraordinary advantage in sports, you need a game plan. For an extraordinary advantage everywhere else, all you need is Acrisure. With a high-tech human approach to insurance, cybersecurity, and more, Acrisure helps you take care of what you care about. That makes winning easy. See what Acrisure's extraordinary advantage can do for you at Acrisure.com.